Good morning, welcome. It's Tuesday the 5th of March. Got the date right today. Today we're going back to the Leamington Spa Courier in 1831. And it was a bit of a corker actually, this paper, because I found in it a story which is probably going to end up as the main Dark Christies episode in the future. And I'm absolutely going to call it the Putney Pudding Poisoning. So there's a little teaser for you. But this paper was full of gems, to be honest. And first up, we had a little column, and one straight after the other was just 3 stories of just absolute joy. William Smith, a pensioner living at Bilston, has been committed to Stafford Jail for trial at the ensuing assizes, charged with writing anonymous letters to the Reverend William Lee, a magistrate of the county, threatening to burn his house and murder him. It is at length decided by the veritable Reverend the Dean that the choir in York Minster, of which so much has been said, shall not be removed. Robbery in court. At the termination of the sittings at the Old Bailey on Tuesday evening, one of the jurors complained that on the previous day his great coat, which cost him 5 guineas, has been stolen from the jury box, and although he had made every investigation, he had been unable to recover it. The common sergeant regretted the gentleman's loss and said that it was lamentable that even courts of justice were not sanctuaries which would protect one from roguery. He remembered to have heard that the late Chief Baron Richards once had his own coat stolen, and on the same day a person applied before him to justify bail dressed in the same coat. The learned judge, from the respectable manner in which the surety was dressed, allowed the bail to be accepted and justification was made. Right, so first up, what the hell is a pensioner doing, threatening to burn houses down and murder people? I mean, how old was this guy? And secondly, how terrible was he at doing it? That his anonymous letter landed him jail. You'd think someone who got to that grand old age in that time period was maybe a little wiser, but obviously not. The second story there, about the choir. I mean, much has been said about them. Well, what can you say of a choir? They're a bunch of little boys that sing. How bad can they have been? And the last story, I mean, that's just bonkers. I mean, how do you steal stuff? The audacity to steal something from a court whilst presumably there's all those policemen there. And then the judge's story was a cracker. I'm convinced that the journalists that write these pieces are geniuses of comic timing, and that it's not like a dark kind of black sense of humour that I've got, or it might be that as well, but I think they are genuinely geniuses at comic timing, and sometimes I wonder if these stories were actually written to be funny in a really dark way. Because this story, well, Henry Keynes, aged 24, a determined looking young man, stood indicted for breaking open the dwelling house of Mary Bew at Wallop Farley on the 10th of January 1830, and stealing therefrom 12 pounds of bacon, 10 pounds of cheese, 7 gallons of bread, a pair of brass scales, and other articles of her property. Mr. Dampier stated the case to the jury. The evidence was principally that of an accomplice, but it was corroborated by that of others. The prisoner said, as it was his first offence, he hoped the judge would be merciful. Sentence of death passed. It's just hard. I mean, it's not funny because the poor guy, the poor guy, he stole a load of stuff, but then he ended up getting killed. But it's just, there's a couple of things in there that just make me think, the way they wrote this stuff, surely they were writing it almost for like comedic effect. I mean, there was a place called Wallop Farley. I like that. But yeah, the fact that he said, I've never done anything before, I hope it'll go lightly. And he said, yeah, sure, sentence of death. But then I sort of thought about it and thought, that was kind of harsh, He did steal a load of things. And yeah, maybe he could have been charged, put in prison or something like that. Death is a little bit much, isn't it, for that? At the bottom of the column, it had like a summary of the rest of the cases that were seen and what was passed. And so I found that sentence of death was incredibly common. We had James beat for breaking and entering and stealing 2 silk handkerchiefs. He got sentenced to death. Basically, all of these were sentenced to death. George Rogers and James Walker for stealing a fillet of veal, a leg of mutton and a piece of beef. Anne Wart for stealing 20 sovereigns. Joseph Newman for stealing 8 heifers. James Bruce for stealing a piece of sirloin beef. And that's all just in one session in one county. It's just madness. They were killing people just all over the place. And aside from this, you had another 14 people who were sent for 12 and 7 years transportation. So they were basically sent off to America or Australia or some other British colony. Yeah, it makes you think that I'm surprised there was anyone left in the country by the end of the 19th century. And finally, because everyone loves a good advert, the following is a list of approved medicines sold by Messrs Butler on Cheapside, London. Butler's vegetable tooth powder, Dr. James's alloplectic pills, Hickman's pills for gravelstone, Butler's Cajeput Opodeldoc. I'm sure he's just making this up at this point. Tower's stomachic essence, Butler's compound essence of cobwebs, Fothergill's tonic pills, Butler's pectoral elixir, Rowland's Macassar oil, which apparently is for stopping your hair falling out, and Woland's essence of Tyre, which changes your beard from red to black. And all of these of which have obtained a celebrity which is preeminently great, apparently. So, yeah, there you go. Get yourself down to Butler's and get some Cajeput Opodeldoc. That was yesterday. This is today. Thanks for listening.